Welcome to WagerTalk TV. I'm Kelly Stewart with Las Vegas Chris and Marco D'Angelo. We're going to talk about the most exciting game of the week. That's right, the NFC North matchup between the Detroit Lions and the Chicago Bears. I know I can't even say it with a straight face. All jokes aside, I do think we could find some value here. The Detroit Lions, a 3-point underdog, total 44.5. Mr. Las Vegas Chris, I'm going to let you go first. I'm curious to hear your opinions on this one. I already know which way I'm leaning.
I'm just happy that we're going to get a new general manager and a new coach. As I tweeted out before, the only thing in question to be determined was if Matt Patricia or Matt Patricia with the Lions would have more career wins, or Pittsburgh Steelers this one season. So, and that's up in the air, 13-10 at the moment. So, but here's the issue with this game, especially with the Detroit Lions. It goes by Galladay. Galladay hasn't been playing, and he hasn't been practicing. And in fact, I look at the list. There's 19 people on this injury list. Okuda's not practicing. Jones isn't practicing. Cephas isn't practicing. Swift has some unknown brain problem, and they won't even tell you how the problem developed. And Mike Ford has a brain problem too. I don't know. What are they watching? Wolverine football too much? But Amendola isn't practicing. Stafford isn't, or late practicing. Half the team isn't practicing. So it's hard to make a decision at this point. But if you can get a Galladay in there, if you can get a Swift in there, then you have to look at the Lions a little bit. I've been saying since week 5 and week 6 that the Bears are one of the worst teams in the NFL. I had them rated by week 6 in the bottom 6 or 7 of the league, and that was when they were 5-2, 5-1. They're statistically absolutely inept. They're 31st in offense. The Lions are 22nd in offense. You've got to look a little bit at the under in this game as it lights up in red a little bit. It just is moving a half a point. That's pretty much it. You got to look at the number one thing you got to remember, don't lay points with bad teams. And both of these teams are bad teams. And when in doubt, just take the points.
Yeah, I don't hate that idea. Marco, you and I are both situational handicappers of sorts, or we look for certain situations. I don't have Mr. TNA himself here, Ralph Michaels, but I am always curious to see what the numbers actually are after a head coach gets fired. In this case, not only a head coach, but also a general manager. Do you think that holds any weight when looking on how you would handicap this game?
Well, it's always a factor that we look at as far as it lights a spark. It sends a message to the team. Management's not happy, and heads are going to roll. Well, if the coach gets fired and the team still plays bad, then that means it's the players, and the players usually get fired up that first game at least to play well. New coach, new something, anything to light the fire. But I want to go back to that injury list that Chris was running for the Lions. How the hell did they get hurt? It wasn't tackling anybody on Thursday, Thanksgiving Day, for God's sake. They were horrible, and they've had 3 extra days to prepare, so they should have some kind of advantage there. And yeah, you could, you hate that a guy gets fired on the holiday, but he should have been fired well before that. But it makes sense to do it when you've got a few extra days to prepare. A lot of times teams will do it on the bye week, so you have the 2 full weeks for the transition. But the Chicago Bears, how can you lay points with that offense? We're back to Mitch Trubisky. Nick Foles wasn't the answer. And you know what? It's starting to look more and more like maybe it's not Trubisky, maybe it's not Foles, maybe it's Nagy's play calling. He puts them in situations that have no chance of success. I can't lay points with Chicago. So the combination of going against a bad team, laying points, taking a new team a new coach, have that little bit of spark, and then you look at the numbers. Chicago has the 29th ranked offense in scoring, 19.6 points per game. That in itself, you can't lay points with a team that's only scoring 19 points. Then you look at their yards per play. And I'm more about yards per play than points. Because a lot of times, you might get a defensive score and this and that, which they do have a decent defense. But yards per play, there's only one team in the NFL that is better than the Chicago Bears at yards per play, and that's the New York Jets. And when you're only better than the winless New York Jets at yards per play, that's about as bad as it can get, Kelly. I'm going to take Detroit here. The offense has scored points in games. It's been the defense that's been the problem. And I just don't see Chicago threatening that defense. I think Stafford has a decent game. Now, he did put up some points on Thanksgiving Day, but a lot of it was garbage time. The week before that, very uncharacteristically, was shut out at Carolina. And he said after the game, it had nothing to do with the thumb injury. And that's why, he's been on the injury list each week. But I'm going to go ahead and take the points here. I think that it probably gets to 3.5 game day just because people are looking to back the Bears in that defense. And if they're ever going to win one, who better to dial up than the Detroit Lions right now? The only better team you could have on your schedule would be the Jets. And I think that's going to get the public to the Chicago side. I don't want to be on that side. I'll take the Lions here. We'll call it a mild upset, 24-20. And it would be an upset if these teams get into the 20s.
Love to hear it. All jokes aside, I think I'm with Marco here. I think I'm going to hang tight, wait and see, as Chris said, with the injuries. And if this one gets to 3.5, I got no choice but to cover my eyes and plug my nose as I bet on the Detroit Lions plus 3.5. Thank you to Las Vegas Chris. Thank you to Marco D'Angelo. Make sure you guys head over to our WagerTalk YouTube channel and check out all of our other game previews.